We live, dog. We live. Sing that shit.
No, I heard Let It Burn by us earlier.
Alright, so welcome back to the Truth Serum. Today we're going to be talking about the schedule release. Yep, the winners and losers of that schedule release.
We're going to have a couple fun games in the honor of Easter.
Oh yeah, players that could resurrect and
some deep dives, some egg hunts, if you will.
Yeah, just a little Easter egg hunt. And we're going to do one more Who Am I? And we're going to give you the answer for last week's Who Am I?
All right.
We got a season opener.
Season opener. It's going to be Green Bay at Chicago for the 199th game.
This is the longest rivalry in NFL history.
I'm excited. Khalil Mack versus Aaron Rodgers in that offense.
Yeah. We haven't gotten the draft. We haven't gotten anything. Who do you predict to win this game?
Chicago. I do, however, expect Green Bay to be the better team. End of season, make the playoffs this year, to end their 2-year drought. But coming into the season, Green Bay's got it tough. And people don't start off, offensively, don't start off 100% in rhythm.
That is true.
Just like in baseball, if you're a pitcher, I mean...
That's a round ball. But...
You're right, go ahead.
Offenses typically don't start off well anyways. I don't know, you guys remember a few years back the RELAX Aaron Rodgers had said in an interview, and then they went on a tear and on deck beer. But yeah, the offenses,
it'll take a couple weeks to get into motion. Everybody's still trying to figure out the game. You can practice as much as you want, but there's nothing to get you up to game speed like game speed.
That's right.
And you gotta just figure out all the kinks. You gotta see how you work together when you're actually in the battle together.
Yeah. So some winners and losers of this schedule release. We're not going to deep dive into all of it, but we're going to look at the beginning.
One I really like is the Dallas Cowboys. Last year, they did good just to make the playoffs and defeat Seattle.
Down the stretch, their defense was like lights out.
It was, and I expect the same thing this season.
I do too.
But they're starting off their first couple games. First 5 of 6 games are against non-playoff teams, and like we were just talking about, when you're trying, I feel like their offense is going to be big for them this year. They need to get into a rhythm, and they need to get into a rhythm early.
This is a good way to do it.
Yes.
You got a banging ass schedule for 5 of the first 6 games.
Mm-hmm.
You ain't playing nobody that
you're playing teams that didn't make the playoffs.
Ooh,
not even the wild card.
So, I mean that's
for Dak and Amari Cooper and your Randall Cobbs and maybe Mike Gallup takes a step. I mean, Zeke's going to be Zeke, but those guys need to get onto the same page, and they need to do it early, and that helps.
They're going to start off hot.
Yep.
I imagine they'll start off at least 4-2. But anyway,
I mean, even if you've seen in the past, even if you have teams like the Patriots start 0-4, did they have an 0-4 season not too long ago, and people were saying the dynasty's over?
I don't remember. I have a terrible memory, but
I know the
we can always
Patriots
look back.
traditionally don't start off too hard and too hot, and people are always saying the dynasty's over.
Another winner of this schedule release is the Baltimore Ravens.
Yes.
We got a year 2 quarterback who needs that
Quarterback?
year 2 quarterback.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Lamar Jackson.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Year 2 quarterback. He needs something to start the schedule off. He's playing Miami, Kansas City, Cincinnati, and Cleveland in 4 of his first 6 games. Mm-hmm. That's pretty much
for a guy who doesn't throw the ball that well. That's the defenses you want to come up against. Kansas City, right, Cincinnati, Miami. I mean, those are
the only thing
you circle those games on the schedule if you're a quarterback.
Oh yeah, the only thing we need to add to that is a Tampa Bay.
Yeah,
but yeah, another winner. Let's look into the Patriots.
Speaking of,
how about this? they don't leave the Eastern time zone except for one time the entire season. And that's in week 13. They travel to Houston to play the Texans. That's crazy.
I think that week 13 will catch up to them. I know it's a long ways off, and it's hard to predict how good these teams are. And there's a lot of other games. Like that one game really doesn't matter that much right now. But, I mean, when you have to change your schedule up and then you also have a worthy opponent, Houston, as of right now,
they're in full they're in full motion by then. They're in season form.
Oh yeah. By then you're tuning up for the playoffs.
Right. Yeah. So I mean that
is a game I'm circling on the schedule and like really looking forward to watch to see how Belichick handles Houston. I know he's going to have some type of answer for it, but yeah.
Loser. Who you got for a loser?
I hate to say it. I got the Saints, man. They're going to open up the season with Houston, then the Rams tough defense. And then Seattle,
they have to travel to the West Coast twice in a row.
Mm-hmm.
With Rams and Seattle. The games 2 and 3.
And what worries me about Seattle is not only do they have a good defense, they're also a very heavy running offense and effective running offense that they control the clock a little bit. Where even if you're a team that hops out there and scores high off the press, like you're pressing the ball downfield, it doesn't really matter because as soon as they get the ball back, they're burning 9-10 minutes off the clock.
Yeah.
Before you ever see it again.
After that,
you can't really get into a hot streak because these guys are holding on to the ball for so long.
And then after that, they follow up at game 4. They play against Dallas.
Which kind of is the same blueprint of offense.
Exactly. So the Saints are going to start off. They might not start off to that hot start like they did last year.
Yeah. Which in a lot of ways, to me, resembles the Packers' schedule. Which starts off with Chicago, Minnesota, Denver. I think you got some teams like Philly and Dallas in there.
Yeah.
Your first 5 out of 6 games are against top defenses.
Yeah. That's going to be tough to get that head of steam that you need like they had last year.
I think I'm in the minority here. I would actually rather start off my schedule that way. How we were talking earlier, you need those first couple weeks to get your offense in motion. I think going against those top defenses makes you better. Like, you're practicing against the best. I know it's a game and it's not practice, but you're going against the best while you're trying to figure stuff out. So later in the season, you've already got it figured out, and you've already seen the best.
Yeah, but you got a new head coach there.
Yeah, oh yeah, there's a lot to figure out in Green Bay.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough road sled, but they lose 5 out of the first 6. You know, at that point, your mental state changes.
Oh,
yeah. You could, at that point, like say you're 1-5, 1-6.
I don't see that happening, but
I don't either. But it's a possibility for any team, even the Saints.
Mm-hmm.
Not saying it's going to happen. It's a 1 in 1,000 chance.
I got you.
But you start off like that, something in your brain changes. You could give up and, say, let's look at the future. What do we got? It could change things.
I think you don't actually do that until you're mathematically eliminated from the playoffs. But with being the competitor that Aaron Rodgers is, and this is the same way I think myself. Like, say we start off, say they start off 1-5.
Mm-hmm.
You have to have an answer week 7. You have to come out strong. If you don't, then I don't know what you do. If you do, you're taking it one game at a time. Forget those first 6 games. We're just trying to make it to the playoffs.
Yeah.
And many teams have done it before, but...
Yeah, that's true. Another loser, and my personal biggest loser of this entire schedule is the Oakland Raiders. They're playing their last year as an Oakland team, and they have the toughest schedule out of anybody as far as win percent from teams from last year.
Yeah, they have the toughest schedule for strength of schedule.
However you want to say that.
Yeah, strength schedule is perfect.
Blah, 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 blah. Anyway, and then on top of that, they don't have 8 home games and 8 away games. They're forfeiting one of their home games to go across the pond and play in London.
It's terrible. Don't do that.
That was very terrible. I suck at accents.
Well, we gotta leave that though.
It's like you suck at football.
Shit.
But yeah, man, they're giving up. So basically, I'm looking at it like you got 7 home games, 9 away games, and you got to play the toughest mathematically opponents out of anybody.
Mm-hmm. And not just that, you're also dealing with how is John Gruden handling his second year?
Mm-hmm.
How do these getting rid of Amari Cooper, getting rid of Khalil Mack, how do those trades work out in this draft? How does bringing in Antonio Brown work?
Oh, that works.
But we have to see it. I mean, we took a poll the other day. Yeah. Antonio Brown is technically not a top 10 player, wide receiver anymore, based off how the fans view. They're taking people.
Well, that's why they're
saying,
fans and not.
I'm just saying that's what it's all based off, though, is the fans' reaction. That's who's giving you the money.
Yeah.
So we have to see how that works out. And we also have to see, like you said, it's their last year in Oakland.
Yeah.
I mean, shit, I lost my train
Do
of
they
thought.
want? Do they want?
I don't remember it anymore.
Your third point is: do they want to tank one more year?
No. And lastly, there's been a lot of rumors that John Gruden is not as sold on. There's been a lot of rumors that John Gruden is not as sold on Derek Carr as people believed and how he's trying to portray to the media. I mean, what if he does something? What if he drafts Daniel Jones out of Duke for quarterback for Oakland? I mean, that right there, I think, starts controversy to begin with.
What if they trade up and get someone else?
Quarterback?
Dwayne
Haskins?
Sure.
Then Derek Carr's gone in my book.
Derek Carr is done anyways.
I think he's done anyways.
This is going to be his last year in Oakland.
Exactly. I think
it's going to be all the Raiders last year.
So what if you don't think he could prove himself this year?
I mean, if
he's got the best receiving core I think he's ever had.
It by far, in my opinion, also. But I just don't think he's the guy for the future.
I don't either. But if he could throw for 3,500 yards, 30 touchdowns.
That's not enough.
It's not enough?
Yeah. 3,500 yards is not enough for Derek Carr to be the future.
Not even with 30 touchdowns?
I expect him to get that. Like, you got...
Aaron Rodgers threw for 25 touchdowns last year.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that a little bit later. But...
I mean, I know we got standards here, but, like, what do you need?
What do I need? I need
for the Oakland Raiders, where people go to die.
I need everyone to understand that this is not about this year either. They are, like, he's on a 10-year deal, Gruden is.
Yeah,
he's
Gruden
there.
Is.
Like,
he's trying about 4 years to get his shit together. So why wouldn't Derek Carr be your quarterback for the next 3 to 4 years?
I think it's one more year. They draft a quarterback.
Yeah.
If they get a quarterback this year, let him sit under there, see practice, how practice goes. If it goes well, they might look and say, hey, this is the quarterback for the future. Still, no matter what, it's the last year for Derek Carr as a starter, in my opinion.
No matter how he performs. I mean, he was an MVP. He was an MVP candidate at one point in his career.
I know, but I don't see him as that anymore.
I don't either. Even the season he had, I didn't really see it.
He looks scared in the pocket. He looks frightened, and that's what it boils down to.
It's bad when people are talking about A.J. McCarron taking your job.
I thought A.J. McCarron should have at least got a shot, the other places that he was in, New York Jets and the Bengals. Like, when the other quarterbacks were struggling, I was like, throw A.J. in there. Let's see. Let's just see.
Yeah.
But one thing that I do want to mention, and we're going to go back to the Browns, last year...
This just proves to your point. I think every podcast we've done, or every recording we've done, in some fashion or another, we have touch base with the Browns. They're just exciting to talk about this year.
I got a hard on for them.
You can't stay away from them. I'm somebody who's trying to be realistic over here and say, like, the Cleveland Browns are the Cleveland Browns. They'll find a way to screw it up. But even I'm like, ooh, the Browns, man, they looking
I
good.
can't help it, dude. Every time we start talking about it, like I just got this big ass grin on my face. Can't help it.
Yeah.
Love it.
Don't
Last
mind me.
year when the schedule was released, their average ticket price was $62.
Not bad, man. I might just drive over there this weekend.
But they were wearing brown paper bags over their heads.
Yeah, they were.
This year, schedule release, guess how much? $131 average. That's more than double the ticket price.
Yeah.
That says something. You pay.
But
that
not
for
only does that say something, today I was online. I had somebody ask me, do I know where to find Browns tickets? And I told them where I normally find tickets at. And
you didn't tell them though, did you, man?
no, I told them where I normally find tickets. And they said, I tried there. They're all out. I need this amount of tickets.
They're all out?
They weren't being able to get tickets through this app.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, well, what I've heard, the ticket price is nearly doubled. They were like, I know, it's crazy.
But now I want the tickets.
Now they want the tickets.
It's supply and demand, baby.
Yes, that's what I was trying to get to. Yes.
Supply and demand. They got the supply.
Your mother. Oh.
Peeked out right there.
I'm trying. I'm allowed to stay there.
You're a screamer.
My mom and my dad are. But that's like, I don't even mean like that. I mean like my dad is.
So you're outside the door and your dad's in there like, ah!
No, my dad sneezes in the way I sneeze. Like, ah! And my mom has the most high-pitched sneeze you will ever hear. Like, you'll hate yourself if you ever hear it.
That's funny.
And yeah, I mean, I would love to go to a Browns game.
Let's fucking do it. Let's get off of this schedule. Really, we need to get into the season before we start. The season?
Yeah, that's what I was trying to say earlier is right now it's kind of murky waters to guess who's the winner or losers or like, there's a lot of people out there predicting their team records already. I mean, come on, guys. The preseason hasn't even started yet. To say your team's going 12-4 is a little ridiculous.
It's fun to do that, but if someone asked me to predict their team's record, I go through their schedule and I look and I make an educated guess.
But I mean, even if you make an educated guess, how educated is your guess? Teams change from year to year.
Yeah, and we
like
haven't had
the
the
Jets
draft
from
yet.
last year, the Jets from this year.
It's a different team.
It is a different team, but you don't know how different of a team is it. The Browns from last year to the Browns from this year. I get it seems like the Browns should win the AFC or play for an AFC championship.
I didn't say that. I said if.
I'm just saying the Browns look a lot better than they looked last year, but who's not to say they only win 7 or 8 games?
If they do only win 7 or 8 games, it's definitely on purpose again.
I think they're.
But let's move on to
players who might resurrect their career, bounce back. In the spirit of Easter.
That's right, yeah.
In honor of Easter, we're doing players who might have a resurrection this year.
Might have, some of them will.
Oh, yeah.
Let's start it off with Jimmy G. Everyone calls him the handsome one.
Jimmy Garoppolo. He's one of my favorites to bounce back this year. We all know he went out with a season-ending injury, but he has one of the best tight ends in the game. Not only that, he has Kyle Shanahan, who's one of the best offensive masterminds in the game, who knows how to use the weapons around him. Also, I think Deontay Pettis I think he'll be a thing this year. Like, I'm pretty positive.
So, Garoppolo, he's a resurrection candidate.
Yes.
What about Hunter Henry at the tight end position?
Oh, he's got to be. I mean, the draft capital they spent on him. Antonio Gates is another year into his career, if not retired. Phillip Rivers. I mean, he had a good season last year.
He runs routes like a wide receiver.
And not only that, Phillip Rivers loves those big body big body when he gets down to the red zone. That's why Mike Williams had 10 touchdowns last year, and you don't see Keenan Allen having that many touchdowns, where he only has about 6 touchdowns on the season, because once he gets down to the red zone, he's looking for those big body guys.
Yeah. What about Dalvin Cook? Can he resurrect from them hamstring injuries?
I was about to say he definitely has the talent. He definitely has the talent to, but I mean, can this guy's hamstring stay healthy? I don't know. Like we've talked about in the last episode, are you injury prone or just unlucky? This guy has been injured since college. I mean, since about his sophomore year of college.
Yeah.
He's got all the talent in the world. When he's healthy and he plays, he looks great.
If he plays 16 games,
he's an RB1.
RB1?
He's a top 10 running back.
Top 10.
He'll beat out David Johnson.
If he plays all 16 games and there's no injury there, he's a top 5. Easy, in my opinion.
I don't know about easy. The top 5's hard to get into. I mean, you got Zeke, Saquon, Chris McCaffrey, Kamara, Gordon.
Shit.
I mean, them top 5 is a hard slot to get into.
He's got the talent to do it.
I do believe Minnesota wants to run the ball more this year, but at a certain point, you have to look at you got 2 of the best wide receivers in the game, and the investment you put in Kirk Cousins. I get that investment is something you can't do anything about now. You've already made it.
This Vikings offense could be one of the most exciting in the NFL.
Could be. It could also be one of the worst.
Yeah, and that, to me, depends on Dalvin Cook's legs.
To me, it depends on the offensive line. But Dalvin Cook's legs as well, because last year
offensive line, like towards the end of the season when he started finally getting back on the field, he was crushing it.
Yeah, he was. And to me, that has a lot to do with not just his legs, but I felt like the offense was complacent without him, because you had a Latavius Murray. You have to have some kind of backup plan for Dalvin Cook, even if you don't do anything at offensive line.
If the Vikings don't do anything at the running back position, if they don't sign anybody or draft anybody,
then I should be working in their front office.
I'm confident to draft Dalvin Cook at that point.
No matter what I'm going to draft, I'm targeting Dalvin Cook, because he's probably going to fall a little bit lower in the rounds just because of his health history. But if I do draft him, I'm also going to be looking to draft whoever the backup running back is, because even if it's a nobody,
you could probably get away with not drafting the handcuff. But if they do sign somebody worth,
but I'm saying if you're playing in a deep league like us, like you saw last year, even having a player like a Wendell Smallwood,
it pays off.
Yeah, like having a starting running back at that point in the season.
Yeah. Speaking of injuries, and during this resurrection, that's what we're going to be talking about for the most part. Carson Wentz.
Speaking of the Eagles.
Yeah. Speaking of the Eagles.
We have Carson Wentz.
Smallwood.
No more Nick Foles to worry about.
Yeah. I think he bounces back. I think he has the top 10 year. You kind of are skeptical on that.
I'm skeptical on it. Nothing to do with talent. I just don't think he stays healthy for a full season. He has all the talent in the world. He's got Alshon Jeffrey, Zach Ertz. They got some good running backs there.
Deshaun Jackson.
Dallas Goedert's not bad either. Deshaun Jackson going deep. He's got a strong arm. But, I mean,
I love the guy. He can.
I wish the best for him.
What I love about him the most, and I've said it 1,000 times, I watch him to evaluate him. When he gets back in the pocket, when the pressure's in his face, Do you remember that play that he extended forever and ever, and it seemed like we watched a whole entire football game?
I don't. When I
and
think
then
of Philly and extended plays, I gotta think Donovan McNabb. I'm sorry.
This looked like Donovan McNabb, but I just love the guy. I hope that he bounces back, and I feel like he will this year. Top 10 quarterback, in my opinion.
I don't think so.
Okay.
Even if he stayed healthy 16 games,
If he stays healthy 16 games, he's not a top 10 for you?
not for me.
Huh.
Not for me.
Okay. All right. We'll move on from that.
I mean, you can keep talking about
Who
it.
else? I don't want to. I just want to let the cards play out. Who else we got for a resurrection candidate?
Cooper Kupp. I think he's a forgotten soldier. I mean, this guy was a number 1 or number 2 receiver, depending on your scoring format, when he went down in the season. And him going down midseason actually helps him because he had that much time to recover. You come back to this offense, Robert Woods and Brandon Cooks are both top 20 receivers. None of them are a number 1 receiver. You also have this going on with Todd Gurley. Like, we don't know what's going on.
They need that slot guy back.
They need that
in
slot
a
guy.
bad way.
And Jared Goff is also not the type of quarterback. He's not that type of quarterback to be known for the strong arm, to be known to be the guy to force it in the tight windows. I mean, he needs that underneath slot guy.
Yeah, and Cooper Kupp's that guy, but the reports that I've seen as of right now is, hey, we don't really know if he's going to be ready for training camp. I personally don't like that, but if we're a long way away. But if he comes back and he starts training camp healthy and he's that guy, he's the first Ram wide receiver, first Ram wide receiver that I take.
I thought you were trying to say first round, and I was like, how drunk is this guy?
Not yet, but getting there. He's the first Ram receiver I take
Still one of
over Robert Woods and over.
That's who
Brandon
I would definitely rank him above these two guys. And if he fell in the right spot, I would draft him. Yeah. But like I said, they're all three in the top 20. When I'm in my top 20 receivers, I'm strictly looking at value. Who am I getting value? And I honestly believe Robert Woods will be the guy I get value on, because I think a lot of people for some reason value Brandon Cooks as the number 1 receiver there.
Their stats were damn near identical.
It was close, and with Robert Woods there, Brandon Cook's stats were actually better when. Yeah. I'm sorry, I didn't say Robert Woods, but when Cooper Kupp was playing.
Right. Yeah.
When Cooper Kupp was playing, Robert Woods. I did it again. When Cooper Kupp was playing.
How drunk is this guy?
When Cooper Kupp was playing, Brandon Cook's stats were actually better. But if I'm looking at strictly value, Robert Woods had a pretty good season. I think he actually had a career season. And
yeah, by far.
And he's not looked at as like Cooper Kupp and Brandon Cooks are looked at as that number 1 French number 2 guy.
Yeah.
I like snag Woods late.
I liked Woods back when he played with Buffalo.
Mm-hmm. They just never had a quarterback.
Yeah. They got one now, though.
Do they?
Hell yeah.
For real? Throwing the ball.
If we work on, and that can be taught.
Like they have they have a fantasy point score. But the guy, he averaged in the 50s percentage.
That can get better, though. That can get better.
This guy had to average 95 yards a game rushing. You know how hard that is? You know how hard that is for a quarterback?
Not that hard for him. But anyway, let's move on from that.
Okay.
He don't want to talk about him. I want to talk about him.
I just don't want to say he's a bounce back player this year. Le'Veon Bell. He definitely will be a top 10 running back. He will be one of the best fantasy players you can pick up. Might even be able to get him at a value depending on your league. But
that's key.
That is key. Know your league mates. Like we always say, that is one of the most important things. Not even knowing players' draft positioning, average draft position and draft capital, but knowing your league mates' tendencies, That is a big thing.
Yeah.
You called it last year. I remember you even said, hey, this guy, you see this guy? Mark Ingram falls. Watch him scoop up Mark Ingram. Drew Brees is on the clock.
Oh, yeah.
Watch Drew Brees grow.
Yeah.
And you caught it. I mean, it went both times. Like, you didn't have to draft a certain player because you knew a certain player was coming off the board.
Right, yeah. And that's great if you have a long-term relationship with your league. But
I mean, some people have been playing 20-plus years.
We're about to face off against 8 seasoned veterans in a fan league that we don't know their tendencies.
It should be quite fun.
It'll be very
But anyways, Le'Veon Bell.
But anyway, our next one, I agree with you, but
Who are we talking about?
I don't like this guy as
Who are we talking about?
Devontae Freeman.
I thought we were talking about Devontae Foreman. Bounce back. Resurrected. He's bringing ACL back to the ship, baby. Not for real, though.
The guy's a great player. I love him as a player.
They missed that running game last year, man. They did miss it.
Yeah, but
Tevin Coleman wasn't the guy they thought he would be.
I still don't think that he's the guy that you think he is. And we're not going to get back into that. But Devontae Freeman is. I know that. I'm scared of him because all he's done since that first breakout year is it's not been huge injuries. It's not been huge injuries, but he's stayed with that nagging.
Oh, that's why I don't like him either. That's he has all the talent in the world.
Yeah.
He can be a number 1 running back. He's still very young.
I think he finishes if he plays 14 games. He's a top 10 running back
for sure. That's why he dropped so far in some people's ranking is because of injuries. Also in my own, this guy, he has all the talent in the world. He can be a running back 1, and that's why Atlanta has always held on to a Tevin Coleman or what was his name a couple years ago?
For the Falcons?
For the Falcons. He was a goal line punisher. I'll have to look it up later.
Like I said, I got terrible memory, but that doesn't matter. 2019 matters, and Darius Geis is coming off. I don't really think we need to talk about him in the resurrection because he hasn't proven anything yet.
So we're not.
But in the preseason, he looked like the man, and I am excited to watch him, so we're just going to mention him. Darius Geis looks like he could be a top 10 running back.
No.
Well, I mean, Adrian Peterson's there, but you never know what could happen. Are you talking about the guy that used to play for the Chargers?
Jaquez Rogers.
No.
He was a thing, man.
In the Philly offense, he was.
He was a thing in the Atlanta offense.
Atlanta offense, that's what I meant.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't think Ito Smith is going to be anything in his NFL career.
We're not talking about Ito Smith again. We're not talking about Ito Smith.
Not yet.
Not yet. I mean, we're going to be talking about him this year. He's going to be relevant.
Wait. Oh, McKinnon. Who's that one? Okay. So, Devontae Freeman. Darius Geis, top 10 running back.
I'm not calling him a top 10. I say he has the talent to be a top 10. But in his situation with Adrian Peterson there.
Not this season. Not this season.
But he will be an asset to somebody's team, especially if they get him at the right value. Our next resurrection candidate is Jerick McKinnon.
You ready? Hat bet?
Let's hear the bet first.
All right. So I predict that Tevin Coleman, who was signed to the San Francisco 49ers, will outscore fantasy-wise in our league, on our league format, will outscore Jerick McKinnon. I know this is your guy. I was super excited about him last year. I know you were. You drafted him last year, and I was the guy who called you like, hey, you heard yet? Have you heard?
Yeah.
Going Fournette for right now. I think we can jump back into the whole
Jason Witten
Jags offense
sucks as an announcer, but He's one of the best tight ends to play.
And even if he doesn't have the separation, the route running, which he does have route running, but even if he doesn't have those true qualities to make you a freak athlete, the guy can catch a football. He can be open and catch a football. I don't know about the yak yardage he's going to
It's
get.
0.
He's going to get, but like, it's 3rd and 2. You need somebody to go,
Yeah.
run a little out.
Yeah.
He can lay down and fall on the ball.
Exactly. He's not going to be a huge asset to a fantasy team.
I wouldn't
but
look
it's
to add
worth
him.
a mention.
I wouldn't look to add him as a fantasy player, but I do think he adds a little notch to Dak. He's a chain mover. He's a blocker.
I think he adds some to Zeke also.
That's what I'm saying. He's a blocker.
Yeah.
He's a blocker. He's a chain mover. I mean, at this point in their careers, is he really any worse than Greg Olsen?
No.
And I think people still were very high on Greg Olsen last year in the drafts.
I'm ready to look for some Easter eggs.
All right, so we're going to go on an egg hunt. And what we mean by this is these are our deep dive players, people in the deeper leagues or just somebody who hasn't been looked at that much that you think can be a boom player.
Is there someone you want to start out with?
Somebody I would love to start out with is Isaiah Crowell. I think he was forgotten about in that Jets offense last year. Between him, Blau Powell,
That came from somewhere else. We stole it.
and Elijah McGuire, I think they were trying to figure out the whole thing last year. The guy does have talent. He averaged nearly 7 yards a catch, and he also averaged almost 5 yards a carry. He had one game where he had over 200.
He's always averaged. He's always had a high yards per carry average.
Always had a high yards per carry. And one game last year, he had 219 yards rushing. And now you put him on an offense with Antonio Brown, and you have to replace Marshawn Lynch. He's the number 1 running back on their depth chart right now. Let's see how this works out after the draft. But as of right now, Isaiah Crowell, this is his backfield. Doug Martin's not even on the team. Who is your 3rd string running back? Who do you
Marshawn
have backing up
Lynch.
this guy?
Marshawn Lynch is still there for now, but we'll see how
All
that
things,
goes.
he hasn't given the team official word if he's coming back or not. And all things are trending towards him not coming back.
For what?
I think they're staying in Oakland one more year, which would give him a little bit. It's his hometown.
Yeah.
Instead of, and he loves Oakland, he reps Oakland hard. But he said, I'll let y'all know my decision after the draft. Which means if you draft a running back in the top 5 rounds, probably not coming back. Which Oakland should draft a running back in the top 5 rounds.
I kind of want to stay with the running backs for right now. I want to talk about Rashad Penny. This guy is something else.
He has the talent.
With the ball in his hands. I love to watch him play. Just get out of that side-to-side shit a little bit and start moving north
If he
and
could
south.
be a one cut back, if he could make one guy miss,
That's
and then
teachable.
and then get north, it is very teachable.
Yes.
If you can make one guy miss, get north and south versus trying to outrun this guy to sideline, because it's the NFL. You're no longer in college.
You're no longer faster than everybody on the
I know
field.
that sounds cliche, but your point exactly. Now you're running backs like Fournette in Indianapolis. Now this guy, he hits like a linebacker, but can run sideline to sideline. You're not going to outrun him.
Right.
If you could teach,
Fournette.
isn't that his name? I think it's Leonard. Number 53 Colts. Number 53 Colts. Darius Leonard. All right, so like your linebackers,
last year.
like your rookie linebackers, like Leonard, you have a new breed. You can run them sideline to sideline. You're not going to outrun him.
And that's his only problem. He can catch the ball out of backfield. He can do everything.
You got to teach him to be a one cut back.
let's hear your next Easter egg hunt.
My next Easter egg hunt?
Yeah.
Dante Moncrief, which a lot of people say is a long shot, but he was picked up by Pittsburgh. To me, Pittsburgh's not completely sold on James Washington. For him, he had a below average season. I know he's competing with Juju and Antonio Brown.
He was a second round pick though.
He was. They
He's
have
got the draft capital.
I mean, but if you're looking at what the capital invested in this team, is Pittsburgh the right team to be looking at that? I mean, they just gave one of the best wide receivers in the game away.
I mean, they had Mike Wallace. They had
Martavis Bryant.
They had Emmanuel Sanders.
Exactly. They're the type of team.
Wide receivers.
They definitely do produce wide receivers. But I also think, going to your point, which is hand in hand with my point, they don't mind letting those receivers go, or they don't feel like they have any pressure into coming to the wide receivers.
Yeah.
But if you look at Dante Moncrief, I mean, he did have 668 yards last season, playing with Blake Bortles, who is terrible, only threw 13 touchdowns and 11 interceptions. I mean, that ratio right there tells you what kind of quarterback he was playing.
I can throw better than Blake Bortles.
I not most of the time would argue with you, but there I'm not in disagreement.
I want to go to another wide receiver, Geronimo Allison.
But yes, I feel like he could have A bigs. I feel like he should be in our resurrection category.
Yeah, he started off pretty hot.
Pretty hot.
His season was ended with a groin injury after 4 games, but during the first 4 games, he had 19 catches for 298 yards, 2 touchdowns.
Mm-hmm.
That's not that great, but this guy you're going to draft in the 9th, 10th, 11th round.
But this is exactly, not just that. He's also the number 2 to Devontae Adams, which, like you're saying, you're going to have to go after him late.
Yeah.
Before a late round flyer? I mean, come on. This guy's got all the talent in the world. And after, it's not just that. After he left the offense, Green Bay kind of spiraled. Like, they searched for, was it Jimmy Graham? Was it going to be Marquez Valdez-Scantling? Was it going to be St. Brown? And they never found a guy. And now they're letting Randall Cobb go, which Geronimo Allison played very well in Green Bay when Randall Cobb wasn't in there.
I want to talk about another Green Bay wide receiver because it could be Equanimous St. Brown. This guy is 6'5", 214 pounds. He runs like a 4.48, something like that. Randall Cobb is gone, and this guy had his best games when Randall Cobb was out of the lineup. Now, he can be their number 3. You put a guy that size in the slot, like it might
dirty
be
little slot.
alcohol. You dirty little slot. Man, wipe that up, you alcohol abuser. Anyway, you put the guy in the slot. Like, if we're expecting Green Bay to have a solid offense, which I do,
of course,
after those first few games when they're playing tough-ass games.
I feel like Aaron Rodgers is also the ultimate competitor, to where kind of like he has that Cam Newton factor. Like, when everything's winning, he's great. When he's losing, he's a crybaby. But, like, you push this man, you put his back up against the wall, he's coming back with revenge. Like, let Cam Newton have a revenge game. He's gonna show some points.
Yeah. You got another candidate we want to talk about? Let's move on from that.
What?
Let's move on from equanimity. We're getting off topic.
You said you have another Cam Newton you want to talk about?
I said a candidate.
Okay, I thought you said another Cam Newton.
Let's find another Easter egg.
Okay, this is a forgotten guy to me. Maybe should have been in the resurrection, but I feel like he's forgotten. That's why I put him in the Easter egg. Marquise Lee. He was a second-round draft pick. He was also paid a contract to come in and be the number 1 guy for the Jacksonville Jaguars, who have been searching for. They have a bunch of nice pieces. They have Keelan Cole. They have Marquise Lee. They have Dante Moncrief.
They just don't have a quarterback. That's the problem.
But now they might have a quarterback. That's what everybody's suspicion is. Even if it's just a game manager, you didn't have that with Blake Bortles. You had 13 touchdowns, 11 interceptions. But Marquise Lee, I think he's a guy that he has been forgotten about. People don't look at the Jacksonville receiving core that much. That you will be able to score this guy late in draft picks.
And he can take the top off. He can pull the titties out. And, you know, he can take the top off. He can do it all. He's your all around receiver on that team.
Mm-hmm.
He's not quite as big as Keelan Cole. He's not gonna make
Keelan Cole just has
spectacular catches like Cole. But
I was about to say that with Cole with me, it's just all about the catches he can make.
He's a possession guy.
Even when he has coverage on him,
yeah,
I've seen Cole make some catches where I'm like, whoa, how did that guy just make that catch? It's not even about. He didn't have that great of separation.
Right.
His route running wasn't that great. It's just that guy just made a catch I couldn't believe.
Right.
He made
awesome.
This is fingernail catch.
Yeah, exactly. I want to talk about Robbie Anderson.
Speaking of taking the titties out.
Taking the titties out. Robbie Anderson will burn your ass.
He will, but I mean,
he got off to a slow start because he
was playing with Sam Darnold.
Sam Darnold was a rookie.
But Sam Darnold's not the quarterback to really force it downfield that much to me.
He didn't start out to be that guy, but toward the end of the season,
and maybe with Le'Veon Bell and having the play action there this year, maybe
in the final four games, 23 catches, 336 yards, and 3 touchdowns in 4 games.
I do remember last season hearing all year
there was a resurgence there.
I remember hearing the entire first half of the season. I would rather take so-and-so than have Robbie Anderson. Robbie Anderson is a Deshaun Jackson, poor man's version, all this type of stuff. Burst into where, in dynasty leagues, I might want to have Robbie Anderson.
He's not that guy. I was scared. I had him on my team. I was scared and traded him away.
Mm-hmm. Don't blame me there.
Last year.
He
started off super slow. It usually does. But... Anyway, let's
take that trophy. I cannot wait to take that trophy.
That's what everyone keeps saying.
Mm-hmm.
Deontay Foreman. This is a guy
I was high on last year. This
is a guy who, when he first came out, he's sharing a backfield with Lamar Miller, who
not that talented.
He's mediocre.
He'll get the job done now. He'll get the job done, but he's not breaking tackles. He's not punching it in the end zone. I feel like he's kind of half the reason Deshaun Watson and that DeAndre Hopkins duo is so dangerous.
So
they have to
Deontay Foreman, if he comes back healthy, which is expected, that's the reports we're hearing.
Did he come back at the very end of last season? He was active. He was active on the roster. Right. I'm not sure if he actually played. I don't think he
got a snap or 2 in, I think, but he's expected to be healthy all the way back. Expected to be. You're pounding that beer.
I gotta pee.
I do too. He's expected to be healthy. If he comes back healthy, and they're splitting carries, if it starts out, Lamar Miller getting 12 and he's getting 6, I see that slowly moving into Foreman's favor. Foreman is the better guy. He's, in my opinion, if he can stay healthy, he's a monster.
To me, he was a better guy too. I actually thought he might come back at the end of last season. I was looking at him for championship rounds.
Yes.
Never really happened. But one guy I do want to talk about, it's actually a duo here. It's Marquise Goodwin and Deontay Pettis. A lot of people...
It's Dante Pettis.
Marquise Goodwin or Dante Pettis. A lot of people look at it like, who do you want? Do you want the guy, Deshaun Jackson-esque, who can take the top off, who's there to make the big play, who's got the track star speed?
They can both kind of do that.
They can both kind of do that, but to me, Pettis is the better overall receiver.
Yeah.
Goodwin is, to me, strictly there to be a track star.
He's strictly there to pull them titties out.
Yeah, like he's on spring break year round. He's just there. He's just there letting it go.
Oh, that's a shots and giggles type moment right there.
Oh, he's just there to run as fast as he can to make sure nobody gets.
He did
behind him.
finish 29th last year in PPR with mostly CJ Beathard and Brian Hoyer as
Which
his
are known
quarterback.
for
Which are known for what?
being average,
Average.
throwing the ball mediocrely,
With
and the average amount of distance.
Jimmy Garoppolo,
Mm-hmm.
he averaged 8.2 targets, 5.8 receptions, and more than 80 yards per game. He averaged more than 15 PPR points per game during the time with Garoppolo.
50.
15, 1-5. I think it was 15.1
Oh, you
with
said-
Garoppolo.
I thought you said 50, and I was like, what?
That's a first round pick.
That's more than average.
But
round pick. That's a week.
That's a week
Week
winner. But Pettis, during like the 3 of his final 5 games, he had 77 yards at least, and
And not just that, this guy, he returned kicks in college, and I know that's like college football, but that just shows you what this guy knows to do with the ball in open field.
yeah,
Look at your guys like Odell Beckham Jr., Antonio Brown. You give him a slant route for 5 yards and make one guy miss, you
Yeah.
take it to the house. And that team does not have a true number 1 wide receiver.
he didn't start playing until probably around week 10.
Mm-hmm.
Like he
When
had
they
some
started
snaps.
giving up on
He snapped.
PR's on.
Yeah, he had snaps in here and there, but despite not playing until like week 10 pretty much, he had 470 yards almost receiving and 5 touchdowns from week 10 on. So he's definitely in the Easter egg hunt for me.
Any tight ends you want to touch on?
Maybe the tight end of the New York Jets, Chris Herndon.
To me, he showed a little potential last year, but never had that true boom game where he like came out.
Well,
But
that's because never,
he's not a guy.
Never does it happen with rookie tight ends either. Just like with
That's very
wide
true.
receivers,
Evan Ingram.
he was a 4th round pick. Yeah, I mean,
I mean, you can go down the list, but
Yeah.
I mean, like you're saying, it never really happened. And
It
to
did
me, it's not a tight end I'm targeting in this year's draft.
you're not targeting, but you
If
can.
I were stuck with him, if I were to miss those top 5 guys, and I'm like, well, I missed on them, so I'm gonna go tight end late.
Yeah,
I would not be 100% upset.
I mean, from week 6 on, 34 catches, 455 yards, and 4 touchdowns. That translates to a 16 game pace. 49 catches, 661 yards, and 5 touchdowns. That's somewhere around neighborhood number 10 for a tight end. It's not the greatest, but you can stream that kind of player. That's all I really want to talk about as far as the Easter eggs.
Well,
P-times.
we have Russell Wilson contract extension. What was it? 4 years, 140 million, 65 million, 65 million signing bonus. He is the highest paid, not just quarterback, but player in the NFL.
Of all time.
I mean, obviously, we're gonna stay not just of all time.
The total guarantee is $107 million over 4 years. Give me a break.
Please.
I ain't got the handout. You hold that out to Russ.
We're gonna
That's
talk
a
about
dangerous move for the Seahawks.
It is because they kind of handicapped themselves. He's worth the money. He's had 2 Super Bowl appearances. Probably should have won both of them.
Yeah, if they'd handed the ball to Lynch.
I mean, he could walk it over there, man.
Man.
But I mean, you also have other overpaid quarterbacks in the league, like Kirk Cousins. Like a lot of people are gonna hate this. Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah. Matt Ryan.
Matt Ryan, who statistically speaking, I feel like is a better quarterback.
Statistically,
Uh,
we
lot of
put up
people-
a poll. We put up a poll that went outlandishly in Russell Wilson's favor after
4-1.
Yeah, after we put the news up that the contract was been signed. Shit.
To me, this says it's all hype about Russell Wilson because he got his contract.
Let's break down the stats for you guys. All right, so they both last year they both exactly 37. They both had 35 touchdowns and 7 interceptions. That's the exact same. The pass attempts were higher for Matt Ryan.
Of course.
The efficiency was better for Russell Wilson.
But breaking down that point, I feel like Russell Wilson was hyper efficient, where the Seattle Seahawks were the 27th most high rushing team in the league.
Yeah.
That when he did throw the ball, he was throwing it Doug Baldwin and Tyler Lockett, which I know he still is.
Yeah. So
I feel like there's a lot of plays that were 50-50 balls that wouldn't have gone that way. That
Tyler
there's
Lockett.
going to be some touchdown regression, some
Yes.
completion percentage
Yes.
regression for Russell Wilson. And also in this point of his career, Russell Wilson only rushed, I think he averages about 600, 500 rushing yards per year. He only had 376 rushing yards, and he also had 0 touchdowns.
He didn't rush for a single touchdown. Matt Ryan, however, he only had 125 rushing yards, but when he takes off running,
He's running for his life.
he's running for his life. He's running. He had 3 rushing touchdowns.
And that's the point I was trying to get to.
Let's
At this point in his career, if Russell if Russell Wilson is running, it's to extend the plays, it's to keep things moving, it's because he has to. I think he's honestly concerned about his health. I know he's never missed a game. He's concerned about his health, but
I want to talk
He's
about
not
the
running.
fantasy points.
Okay.
So 125 rushing yards for Matt Ryan and 3 touchdowns. That's 30 fantasy points. All right?
Mhm.
Russell Wilson 376 and 0 touchdowns. That's 37 points. That's a
So
difference of
7.
only 7 points.
7 points.
Yes.
Hey,
However-
I like that rushing ability though, man. You got me 7 points.
Yes, 7 more points than Matt Ryan in the rushing category.
Mhm.
But Matt Ryan threw for almost 5,000 yards, whereas Russell Wilson only threw for 3,500,
Mm-hmm.
or less than 3,500, and almost 5,000 yards. Now that equates to 200 points for the passing yards for Matt Ryan, and only 140 passing yard points.
So you're telling me with the combined
This is
total of rushing and passing,
50,
that is a
53 points
53-point difference.
in favor of Matt Ryan.
And you would like to have Russell because of the rushing ability.
Not only that, Matt Ryan also caught a receiving
Also
touchdown
caught
last
a receiving touchdown?
year. Yeah.
Oh, man. I mean, I know that's a fluke, but still.
And not to mention, Russell Wilson also took 9 more sacks than.
He did. He did take 9 more sacks, which is what, -2?
Well,
Negative
most leagues
rushing
don't.
yards.
They don't typically count for negative rushing yards, but we're talking about for the offense. You want your offense to keep moving. 9 sacks. It doesn't sound like that much over the course of the year, but that is possibly 9 different opportunities where their team got off the field on 3rd down.
Mm-hmm.
So, anyway, you guys need to understand that it's not all about the rushing yards. They do count a lot for fantasy.
Yeah.
Anyway, we just wanted to clear that up and let you guys know that rushing yards
I
are
also
not.
feel like just in last year's draft, Russell Wilson's one of the top 2 to 3 quarterbacks taken in a draft league. I feel like this will be the same because of all the hype around his contract and what Seattle's doing.
I'm happy to let other people reach for him.
I am too. Last year, Matt Ryan finished as quarterback number 2. I feel like that's forgotten about. I feel like people are saying he's old. He blew that lead in the Super Bowl. He's washed up. And they're forgetting that he's coming back with this offensive coordinator, who's the guy who brought him to the Super Bowl in his MVP season. He's also got Devontae Freeman, who is his running back, who might take some yards away from him.
But he'll also get them dump off passes.
He'll also get them dump off passes and keep the offense on the field, because when you have your 3rd and 2 situations, he can stay on the field. So Russell Wilson might go as a quarterback in the top 5 to 8, where you can probably get you can probably get Matt Ryan in the later rounds, in double-digit rounds.
Let's move on.
Last
week we had a Who Am I, where we told you some clues. You had to go back to find them clues out again and listen to that episode if you want the clues. But
I could do this all day.
I know we're like an hour and like too much time. But the Who Am I, the answer to last week's is
T.O., baby. Time out.
Terrell Owens.
T.O. Get your popcorn ready.
We gave you a couple of hidden hints throughout the episode, and then we gave you the real hints at the end. The answer is T.O. We have another one for you. Who am I? Here are your clues.
This week we're going to go with a player who is an active player. He is an active player.
He's been selected to 7 Pro Bowls.
8 seasons. He's had 1,000-yard seasons.
Also, 8 seasons he's had double-digit touchdowns.
Ooh, double-digit touchdowns. But only one of these seasons has he had with 400 yards receiving yards.